first, I want to introduce myself. I'm Michael Puccinelli, CEO and co-founder of SingleCom. You guys probably have seen us out on the floor. You probably have heard things about us. We came in here today to talk to you about our commitment to your industry. And as we started to talk to people about the floor, there was a lot of questions that came up. We have a very structured, very formal presentation in here, and we decided to turn it on its head so that we can talk to you guys about who we are and where we came from, because that seems to be a prevalent question out there in the community. And we have a ton of communication experience, which I think is very relevant to what you guys do in the task base. And we've also been fairly accomplished in the task base, which we can get to shortly. But I promise you, whatever we know today, we will learn more and more every day. That's how we built our business from the very beginning of time. So what I'm going to do instead of talk right now is have somebody from your family give a few words about SingleCom.
ATSI's been around since 2017. We offer BPO, virtual receptionist, and answering services. We were looking for a couple years for a different solution than what we were using. The first thing that stood out when we looked at SingleCom was it's 100% web-based. We probably have 90% of our agents are remote, and this makes setup time a million times faster. We don't have to worry about installing software. We give them a URL, we add them as a user, and after they're done training, they are good to go. With our old system, we had to set up VPNs, we had to install software, we constantly have to do updates, and that's all a thing of the past now. With SingleCom, we were able to actually build everything out and make it automated, so that based on how a caller answered a question, we can automatically go to the next part of the script. And it also allows us to have quality control built in, whereas our previous system did not allow that. They offered 24/7 support. Our old system did not do that, and there were several times where we ran into issues and we would have to wait until the next day to get it resolved. SingleCom's helped improve our sales process. It made it simpler. Now, when a customer asks if we can integrate our software with theirs, the answer is always yes. Since we started with SingleCom, we have reduced our training time by 40%. We have shaved off 1 day of training for our agents. This has given us the ability to train the agents on an entire system, whereas before our agents would have to be trained on 4 different systems to service all of our accounts. In addition, when we decide to add an agent to a dedicated account, we only have to train the agents on those specifics of that account because everything is now ran through SingleCom. SingleCom is thinking about the future, and their system supports this so that your agents can take SMS, Facebook messaging, emails, and other omni-channels, which is why I would highly recommend them over any other platform out there. With SingleCom, you can move forward and don't have to worry about the future because the future is now.
Thank you, Dave Kimball.
Yeah, that was nice.
So my name is Steve Noel. I am not with SingleCom. I'm Cloud Console. I started my business a year ago. Some of you remember last year was my inauguration at ATSI, and from last year I have been looking, actually for about 4 years, I've been looking for a system that could thrive in the TAS industry, and I actually wrote these 6 points down on one of the boards in my office. I have 3 big boards. And I wrote these 6 points down, and as I was looking at CCAS after CCAS after CCAS after platform after platform, I would kind of get all like excited about a couple things, and I would say, no, let's stick to the 6 things that have to happen. And number 1 is it has to meet and exceed the impressive scripting and dispatch that all of you already enjoy from your vendors. I mean, the vendors that you have right now have done an extraordinary job of developing scripting and dispatch it's so much further than what's out there normally in the market. And you know, and I know, when you've gone out there to look, it's always been very disappointing. So I thought, okay, that's number one. It's got to meet and exceed the scripting and dispatch. It's got to be true cloud with all the redundancies and, you know, the safety from ransomware and malware and all that. Number three, it's got to be pure Webrtc, no VPNs, be able to use a Chromebook even to run your remote agents. Number four, it has to have great analytics, and we have to be able to get insights and bring them back to your customers. Something that's really, I think, has been an opportunity that TAS has really missed over the years. We gather so much information, and we're not able to bring any of it back to our clients like Google and Yahoo and everybody else is doing. All those insights could be really powerful for your clients and could really give you a competitive edge, but we've never been able to capture all that information in the message slips. So that's number four. Number five, it's got to have omni-channel that's integrated and that you can price out, whether it's omni-channel, you're charging by time or by transactions. You got to be able to have omni-channel, but also be able to get the stats so you can bill for it. And then number six, CRM integrations with APIs. It has to have that. So I looked at that list months and months and months as I looked over. I can't tell you how many systems I've looked over in those 6 months. And I always thought to myself, okay, when I find something, it's something I've got to be able to sell to my family. Because this is family. And if you and I are looking each other in the eye, I got to be able to know that if I say this is going to be good for you, that, you know, it's good for you because we're family. And I found SingleCom, and we worked together to develop some of the things that to bring it up to meet and exceed the standards that were on this list of 6. And they've hit all the check marks. A great, impressive scripting and dispatch, true cloud, Webrtc, great analytics, omni-channel, CRM integrations, and so I've been very, very excited. Having SingleCom as one of the products I'm able to bring into the TAS industry, so I hope that you'll welcome them into the ATSI family.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. And now I'd like to introduce Todd Pittner. So everybody says, who is SingleCom? I'm a co-founder. There's another one, Kurt Mashoff, who couldn't make it. And outside of us, it's our family, which we've known for a long time. Todd and I go back way too long.
25 years.
Yeah, way too long. And our friends started a private equity firm called Loeb.nyc, and Todd heads up their business development efforts there. And so I wanted them to come down and talk to you about what SingleCom means to them and their commitment to us and the community.
Perfect. By the way, I was not intended to speak today, but after hearing a few things last evening, I asked if I could. My name is Todd Pittner, and I head up Strategic Partnership Development for Loeb Enterprises, or Loeb.nyc. You can find it at Loeb.nyc. By show of hands, and please hold them high, how many of you in here have either heard me speak before or are hearing me speak for the first time today? Raise them high. Actually, I have to pull that one because when I start speaking, people usually start reading their emails, so thank you for your attention. So, I got here last night and I kept hearing that there was like this false assertion that was circulating out there somehow by someone, I don't know, that was saying these guys are just kind of new, but they're going to be like everybody else. Here today, gone tomorrow. Okay? Well, I'm here today to first of all tell you that I've had a 25-year relationship with Mike. He's been part of our family, and this one's real. By show of hands, how many have heard of Priceline.com? Yeah? Well, Michael Loeb is the lead investor in SingleCom. Matter of fact, he's the only investor. We, Loeb.nyc, have 22 portfolio companies, and SingleCom is one, and has been with us from its incubation in 2012. So, Michael Loeb was co-founder of Priceline.com, and about 15 other companies that I guarantee you've used, you just don't know who is behind the companies. We've had 6 multi-billion-dollar exits. We're pretty darn good at tech. And so I just want to let you guys know they're just going to be fly-by-night, here today, gone tomorrow. And what Steve has just reinforced is that this is a family out there. And so a family responds to trust, which is why I'm so grateful, Steve, that you are part of our family, because you connect us, and maybe, hopefully, all of you will come and get to know us a little better, and we can be adopted into your family. Because I will read this. This is from, if you think about what Loeb NYC is, Loeb NYC invests, incubates, and or invents disruptive companies that has one battle cry. And that battle cry is problem meet solution. And SingleCom does just that. Mike, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right, so time check. How much time do we have left? 7 minutes. Eight. Okay, we had 8 minutes. All right, so 10 minutes. 10 minutes. All right. So I think I'm going to talk a little bit about how we got to where we are today, just so you guys are very familiar. Or I can go down the architecture path and I can talk about acronyms and I can tell you about all the cool stuff behind the scenes. But I think it's better suited for me to explain to you guys how we actually ended up here with you guys today, if that's okay with the audience. So, much like yourselves, we started out doing our own business. And one of the business needs that we had was to have a call center. So, I won't go all the way back in time how we had the first idea for SingleCom, because that was actually back in the late 90s. But in 2010, Todd and I started a company with Rich Vogel and Michael Loeb up in New York, and the whole premise was to disrupt the magazine subscription industry and deliver bespoke content to people directly. They were going to work on the content. We were going to create inbound calls to be able to sell these to, so create the demand. We started off with an idea, and we ended up we went from 100 inbound calls a week to 120,000 inbound calls a week in a 4-month period of time. We had a 500-seat mothballed JCPenney call center that we brought back to life. I signed a huge $500,000 lease with Mitel. The Mitel truck never left the parking lot for 6 months. They promised us the world and it didn't work. It couldn't keep up. We had a revolving door of people. This guy right here who was just talking to you, personally interviewed for, it was 8 weeks straight, over 200 people at a time, just to try to handle the inbound traffic. Now that doesn't relate so much specifically to how you guys operate your business, but a lot of the principles were the same, and the frustration that we had was, A, the Mitel system couldn't keep up, B, it was always down, I was getting busy signals. We didn't start off thinking we were actually going to do what we said we were going to do, so we didn't go out and buy 500 computers. You buy computers when you need them. So you go to auction, you get 10 at a time, you start taking 10 at a time. Hey Mitel, guess what? I got my next 10 computers in here, I need more soft phones. You told me I could get soft phones like that. Oh, it'll take 2 weeks. I'm like, 2 weeks for a little code? It was ridiculous. We couldn't handle it, it couldn't keep up with us. And then when the soft phones came in, it didn't work with the hardware that we had bought. So I was tired of the conflicts and I said, hey, we gotta make this simple or we're not gonna survive. So we had that issue, we had the human capital issue, which was we can't afford to take 3 weeks to train people. And he's like, we can't even teach them the phone system in a week. And I'm like, you gotta get it down to 3 days. We have no chance to manage this media. And in the marketing world, the one thing that everybody doesn't quite appreciate that much of like your competitors do is they copy you, right? So the only way to stay ahead in the marketing business is to get all the real estate. So that's why we had so much volume, but then you have to make it worth something or you're just throwing money down the drain. So we came up with, he called it his scripting tool, and I called it a teleprompt reader, but basically it was guided interactions that would control the screen, and all the operator had to do was to progress the conversation by hitting the next button, and that was it. And then they could get to the point where they could get the sale. And the other thing that we had to do is take credit cards, and it's scary when you take 100,000 credit cards a week, and you've got thousands of people that you don't know, and a lot of times they're not gonna come back. So we had to deal with all those real issues, and our system could not keep up with it. And we knew that our business was headed in the right direction. The other thing we were doing at the time, this was early, we were doing text messaging. We got a lot of people inbound texting us wanting to sign up for stuff. So we had separate systems, and then there was emails, and then we got a little bit of web chat in there. And it was so frustrating because you had 3 different screens, and you had to keep track of everything, and your utilization numbers were down the drain. And I was like, look, we've got way too many systems, we've got way too many reps, way too many programs, and way too many inefficiencies, because when they're done, they sit there and they have their post-call work that they were doing, which you guys can relate to. And I said, when they push done and they've completed an order, our system should know what needs to be done. And from those experiences, that's where we said, we've had enough, we're gonna build our own platform. And we built it for ourselves, and it wasn't until later where we stopped marketing our own business and we were doing work for companies like Beachbody is a good example. Proactive, you guys might be familiar with them. Companies like that, where they started to look at our tech and said, how can you guys do what you do better than any other center that's out there? And then I said, well, come visit us and we'll show you the tech. And so from that, we knew that, hey, maybe we should get out of the BPO space and get into the software space, and we made that transition. It was painful, it was difficult, but it was a very interesting ride. And I will tell you, it's been very fulfilling. And the reason it's fulfilling is because we have not had the luxury of resting on our laurels, right? We have to earn our customers every day. I'm not sure how it works in the TaaS space. We're learning, and we've actually onboarded over 10,000, maybe 20,000 now accounts for you guys. We've got over 1,000 agents using our platform to take care of those accounts. But where we come from in the BPO side, if you don't do a good job and you don't innovate and you don't keep up, you're out. We don't have the luxury of saying, hey, we're not going to do that. Hey, put it on a roadmap, we'll do it 2 to 3 years. In fact, we call it a roadmap, but it's not much of a map because it changes so frequently because our environments change. We didn't predict that there was going to be this pandemic that happened that kind of shut everybody down, but because we had thought through our platform early on, all of our customers had 0 downtime. They sent everybody home. One of the things you'll learn with our platform is, yes, as Steve mentioned, it is Webrtc, what's the benefit of that? As long as you can get a decent internet connection and a Chrome browser, you get the exact same experience no matter where you're sitting, no matter where in the world you're sitting. Your supervisors, your managers, and your agents. So it's a very flexible system. It allows you to scale and it puts the control in your hands. And with the guided interactions, the single pane of glass view that we have, you literally can put somebody in front of that computer, turn it on, start sending calls to them, and they can teach themselves how to navigate it because it's just that simple. It really is, and it really can be as simple or as guided as you want it to be, or not as guided as you want it to be. But when we built the platform, the key decision to go with the Webrtc was so that we could have one channel to manage all of the communication needs. And at the time, it was mainly voice, which is the most difficult one to do because nobody has the patience to sit through a jittery call. They'll sit through jittery Zoom experiences. They'll sit through, you can have a really delayed SMS or even chat. That's just normal. But if you have a bad phone call, you're going to hear about it the next day. You're going to get a complaint from your doctor's office or somebody saying, hey, your calls aren't very clear. People have 0 time. So to start with that, in 2012, using that technology was bleeding edge. And we made it through that, and we have never done anything but Webrtc. But by going through that and having one data layer that controls everything, so it's true omnichannel. So we converted what is traditionally known as a call into a session, and all of the data around that is converted into sessions, which matches session data that comes out of a computer that matches internet type data. You now have one level playing field. There's no mismatched data. It is true omnichannel, one set of data, and the data is in your hands, and it is all real time. A lot of people don't take advantage of real time. Those that do improve their efficiencies by 30 to 40%.
Hey Mike, last couple minutes.
Yeah.
The other thing I heard is, even if you do have a great product, which we do, it's a heavy lift to transfer from one platform to another. You know, transition is hard. So how do we de-risk that for the family members in, Steve's family members in this room?
Great question. Ease of migration. I will tell you, that's one thing that we've learned, is that in our typical environments outside of TAS, you're dealing with companies that have large accounts with millions of calls a month with one campaign, one account, if you will, right? You guys have thousands of accounts that might even just have one call, but that one call is super important to them and you gotta handle it. So from a migration standpoint, it never dawned on us because everything we did was so bespoke, and one of the things that you'll see with the platform is that you can do everything that you want to do. There is no limiter to your creativity, but with that power, there's no guide rails, if you will. So one of the things that we have to announce today is we call the easy button. We never needed the easy button before because everything was bespoke. You never cloned something because everything was so wildly different, and you wanted it to be perfect for that experience. So you would create a custom flow, if you will, right? A custom setup, custom integrations. So with the easy button that we've just released, and you guys can see it if you stop by, or you can, if you don't do it at the show, you can follow up with somebody on our team. You can now we can build, or you can build your own templates. It'll come with some templates, and then you can just clone it with the click of a button. It will clone everything: the IVR, the routing, the skills, the scripts, the flows, and then all you have to do is put the customer's specific information in it. So all the dispatch rules, everything. If you get it all set up the way you want, let's say for one plumber, maybe every plumber wants to have the same setup. Now you can do that with a click of a button. It used to take 40 clicks. And if you did one step wrong, you would get an error, and it was very frustrating for a lot of folks. I know that, so we fixed that. And the other thing that we'll do is we'll work with you to get whatever data that you have out of your current system and import it in, and then you can do a bulk import and a bulk clone, if you will, and literally be up and running. Like Dave Kimball, who you saw, he didn't have any of that, and he got up and running in under 30 days, start to finish. It was remarkable. Now, we did a lot of heavy lifting on our side, but that's what we're here for. We realize that you guys are a tight-knit family. We want to be part of the family, and the only way you can do that is to earn that. And I will tell you, you don't earn that by not answering your phone call, by not helping you guys out, by thinking you know everything. That's the one thing you will never get from us. We do not know everything. We won't profess to know everything, and every day is a new day. We will learn. When we hired Gartner last year to do an evaluation of our company, the one thing that stood out above and beyond the tech was our customer service. And the other thing that they said was, look, we did a thorough evaluation. You guys have amazing tech. You have everything that Five9 has. You've got everything that Genesys has, everything that Cisco has. You are set to go and conquer the world. You just need to get your message out there. And I said, hey, well, where should we go? And you know what they said? Because this was not really the answer I was looking for. They said, go focus on the 5 to 50 agent centers. The tech you have, because the way you've architected it, you can support them better than they've ever been supported, and give them tools they've never seen before. And lo and behold, we did that, and fortunate enough, we met Steve, and I was able to convince him just to pay attention to us. It took a while, but he did, and then he came back, and he beat us up pretty hard. And so, while you're looking at us as new, the tech that we repositioned and repackaged was the same stuff we've been using since 2012, but we had the guidance of Steve to kind of say, hey, this is exactly what we need to do, and we packaged it up and we did it, and that's how we ended up here. And we're so happy and honored to be here, and we look forward to working with you guys over the years to come.